We appreciate all of the guests who have appeared on our show and sincerely thank them for providing you, our audience, with useful information. However, the advice our guests provide is theirs, and we encourage you to seek out a professional if you have specific questions about any topic we cover on the Crushing Debt podcast. On this week's episode of the Crushing Debt podcast, using the law for limitless leverage.
Welcome to the Crushing Debt Podcast with your host, Florida attorney Sean Yesner, where our goal is to help you get rid of the financial bullies in your life.
So welcome back to the Crushing Debt Podcast. My name is Sean Yesner, owner and founder of Yesner Law, and I have a guest with me this week who I think you are going to love because I really enjoy talking and working with her and learning from her and bouncing ideas off of her, and I think you are really going to enjoy that as well. Before I get to my guest, I do want to mention our sponsor real quick, Sam Cohen with Attorneys First Insurance. Those of you that have been listening for a while know that he writes errors and omissions insurance, which is also called malpractice insurance, for attorneys and title companies, pretty much statewide. Now, if he doesn't write in your state, he can find somebody that can write for you in your state, or he can become licensed in that state. What I like about him is that he does an apples-to-apples comparison. So, if you're an attorney or a title company, or if you know an attorney or title company, refer him over to Sam Cohen. That would really help me out a lot. That would really help support the show. That would really help support our sponsor. It's sam@attorneysfirst.com or www.attorneysfirst.com. Like I said at the very beginning of the episode, I am very excited about my guest, who has been a huge help to me, both from a legal perspective, in terms of helping me with episodes of the podcast, all kinds of things that she has helped me with. So she is a former marketer turned corporate director turned lawyer turned entrepreneur who serves women. She's had her law firm for about 5 years. I think I've known her almost that same length of time. So welcome my guest, Jamie Moore Marcario. Welcome, Jamie.
Hey, Sean, that was a great intro. And I just have to say that I love that you pick up the phone almost every single time that I call you to bounce an idea off of. So I love it. I love our relationship. It's great.
And I do want to give you credit. So publicly, one of my favorite interviews that I've had so far on the show, and I think this one will become my favorite when we're done, but one of my favorite interviews that I've ever done on the show was when I interviewed Mike Michalowicz. And so I want to publicly thank you, because what a lot of people don't know is that behind the scenes, when I got that interview, I called Jamie and I went, I just got a huge interview. What the heck do I do? And so some of the stuff that came out of that interview and some of the stuff that stuck with me in future interviews were your ideas. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks. Thank you I love the kudos. Thank you. And also, you're easy because, I think we bounce things off of each other so well. And I love it when people are open, and I'm always open to whatever you have to say to me, and ditto. And that makes magic.
Yep.
So,
yep. Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you because, so the law firm is Brava Business Law. It is the firm for female founders. So okay. I want you to talk a little bit about the law firm and about your passion for helping women business owners.
Yeah, so I was born a woman. It was the weirdest thing. And so I came out of the chute a woman. My dad actually wanted a little boy and named me Jamie, thinking that somehow that would transform me. And it did. I was a tomboy for sure. I came out of the chute kind of an entrepreneur. I started selling things so I could earn the right to earn a camera so I could become a photographer. I think at about age 7, I asked my dad if I could sell stuff to earn money to get this camera. And he was a sales guy, so he said yes. So I've kind of been in that vein the whole time. I've done so many things. I've done things in the reverse order. Most people, they dreamt of being a lawyer, they became a lawyer, they've never known anything else, and then they find themselves in a life that they hate because everyone told them you're supposed to be a lawyer. I did this in the reverse order. At some point when I was a kid, people asked me, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, when I grow up, I want to be Jamie. And my grandmother said, that's not a job. And I said, well, if I if I have a job, can I still be Jamie? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, then I want to do everything. So I did everything. I was a writer. I was a teacher. I was a marketer. I was in sales in New York City. I became a director at PricewaterhouseCoopers. I then kind of said, oh my gosh, I've done so many things. I need to combine all that. I also had a little bit of an acting career. Really strong. Very that. Like, don't even try to find it on the internet.
I'm going on to IMDb when we're done.
Do not. So I then went to law school thinking, okay, I love research. I love writing. I love people. I want to help people. I love teaching. This is it. Like, this is my career. And went to law school, loved law school weirdly. And came out and went to a giant firm. And I found it to be soulless. We were representing giant corporations that had endless litigation budget. And there were very few women in leadership roles in those firms. I would hear the word mommy track a lot. Like, wow. So women, yeah, I heard it all the time. Like, oh, she's on the mommy track now. She's not going to make a partner. She's on the mommy track. And it was offensive. And I actually did some aviation law. So I represented general aviation aircraft manufacturers for a short time. And I've been handling these cases all on my own. And at some point, my boss hired a guy from the military. He was a military pilot. And he said, hey, we're going to go take a boys' trip out to the client, which was in another state. And said, we're taking a boys' trip, Jamie, you're not going. I'm like, this is my client. And he said, well, you can't go. And I said, why can't I go? And he said, because we're not going to be able to talk about the things that we're going to talk about if you're there. So, and this is now. This
right.
is it. This isn't like a million years ago. This is a few years ago. So then I became an employment lawyer, so I knew how to deal with that nonsense, right?
Right.
At another giant law firm. And again, found it to be unfulfilling. And I thought, there's just got to be a better way to do this. And I also wanted to work with business owners that I could see. I see your face, and I know I'm helping. I know I'm helping you to make money. And I'm not just spending your money on stupid litigation, right? Like we're doing something for you to make you money. So I left big law with no reservation 5 years ago to start my own firm, and it evolved. It was really fun because the entire time I have been an adult, I had been commuting back and forth to somewhere. My firm is now in St. Petersburg, and I love that I live here and now I know what's going on in my own cool city. And I got to build out my own funky space that looks nothing like a giant law firm. You can see fab mural behind me.
I've been to your office. It's fantastic. I love the way your office is set up and decorated.
Yeah, and it just lends itself to a level of creativity in the law. Not so creative we're going to jail, because that would require a different kind of attorney. Right. But creative enough that we're able to really help people leverage the law to make and keep money. And it's evolved over time, and it grew really quickly. So it exponentially grew. And then I had a year, it was year 4-ish, that I tanked my business. And it was because I just didn't know who my people were. I wasn't sure who I was serving. I refused to make a decision for some reason. I went from making decisions fast and furiously, which is what entrepreneurs do, to finding myself paralyzed with indecision. And at the end of that year, I really looked hard in the mirror and said, okay, what about my law firm, which is I built it. This is my baby, but I didn't want it to be my baby. It needed to be something that worked for me. that did the work for me. And instead of me having to take care of it every second. So, and I also wasn't serving directly the population that I wanted to serve. And I'm sure you've heard this phrase, Sean, that the riches are in the niches, right?
Right.
And so I sat down and said, okay, what's making me miserable about a law firm I built? This isn't giant law. This is small law. And also, who do I love serving? And I looked at we as a team looked at the clientele that we served and said, okay, if we could clone 5 clients, who would they be? And they were powerhouse women who were serial entrepreneurs. They weren't women who needed to be empowered. They were women who were already empowered. These are not women who need to be like pulled up. They're women who know who they are and know their worth. And then they were also women who were very empowered, but were uncertain of how to value what they were bringing to the world, how to value their goods and services. And so we then pivoted. I hate that word just because it's become the word during the pandemic, but hey, that is indeed what we did. And we decided, you know what, we're just going to double down on it. We're going to double down on women. And we changed the name of the firm to Brava Business Law, Brava being what you say instead of Bravo, Brava, when a female performer does a great job. And our tagline became the firm for female founders. And one of the things that really drove this mission for us, Sean, is that I read this report in the same year that I kind of tanked myself. I'm going to be really vulnerable and honest about it. That year, I read a report that was put out by Amex. They do an annual report on the state of women-owned businesses. And that report showed that of the businesses in the United States, 54% were woman-owned, but only 4.6% of the revenue came from that 54% of woman-owned businesses. And that is a statistic that is unconscionable. And it tells me a lot about women's ability to seek help that they need and to feel that they're supported in the way that they need. Women just tend to be a little bit more collaborative and nurturing. And I had great male mentors all along the way. And I also had some experiences like the ones I shared with you. Right. But I also had amazing, especially in the legal field, like especially at the biggest firm that I worked at over in Tampa, I had amazing mentors who were men and a female that was amazing. So I'm not saying that, but there were also women in my field and in every field I've been in who were taught to do it like their mentor, who were almost always white guys. And that's fine. You're a white guy. Right. I call you all the time. Yeah. Right. Like, yeah, I value your advice. But what I wanted is to build a law firm that said, women, show up the way you are. Whatever your special brand of genius is, bring it. Well, just bring it.
So, and I wonder, and I'm trying to figure out, I've been trying to figure out how to ask this question without being insulting, but I know that you're not going to be insulted because I don't necessarily mean anything by it. But I agree that statistic is totally unbalanced and doesn't seem right, where you have more than half of the businesses being women-owned businesses, but a fraction of that being responsible for the revenue. How much does that have to do with, for example, I own a law firm, and I have a very good friend of mine that is in multi-level marketing. So a multi-level marketing profit margin is going to be, by definition, a lot smaller than a law firm profit margin.
That's right.
But that can't be all of it. I mean, it's also got to be that there needs to be some more equity built into the system here. But how much do you think that factors in?
I think it's a huge factor. And I, a big one is, and this is true for men and women. So I'm not going to, just say that this is a woman's issue because I think it goes across the board. We all grow up with money stories. And the money stories that live in our heads that were programmed by our families, pretty much usually by our parents or our whatever religion we grew up in, and our parents' parents. Like the money story gets passed along, right? And it's usually off base a little bit. It teaches us that money is scarce, that you got to fight for it, that you got to work hard for it, that if you're a woman, you got to work harder than the guy. If you are a person of color, you got to work harder than the other people to get it. And we are not taught that money is abundant. Like, it's everywhere. There is no lack of it. The only thing that there's a real lack of is time. That's actually limited.
Right.
Everything else is available. And it's available to everyone equally if you're telling yourself the right money story. And so I think that women generally were taught to value themselves less than their male counterparts. And so when it comes to, if you own a business of any kind, male, female, I don't care, you have to perform sales. It's part of what we do. It's part of being an owner. You got to do it. Or you got to delegate it to somebody who's darn good at it. And in order for you to do that, you got to get good at the money part of the sales conversation. You can't back off of that. You can't sound like you're afraid to quote your price, right? Especially if you're in a service industry, right?
Well, and I think so, and I've talked about this on other shows as well, the people that say money is the root of all evil. You gotta break that, because I was in a discussion with somebody a couple of months ago about, I don't even remember what the topic was, and they said, oh, all you care about is money? And I said, well, number one, no, I don't only just care about money. But number two, I got 4 mouths to feed and a mortgage to pay. So yes, I'm going to make decisions that tend to bring in more money than decisions that don't.
Right. And I am a huge fan of a lot of people. One of them is Marianne Williamson. And one of the things that Marianne Williamson says, I can't remember if it's in a talk or a book, but it was gorgeous. She said, the poor do not need your camaraderie, but they could use your money. So, and the thing about being a business owner, I'll have people come in and they'll say, I want to start this business because I'm really passionate about this thing. And I am all for it. Do not do something you don't care about. Absolutely don't. But then they'll say, but I'm not really in it for the money. And I'll say, why are you here then? You're in the wrong firm. Like, this is the wrong place for you to be if you don't want to make money, because the purpose of making money in a business is you get to serve more people.
Right.
We are a firm that is about limitless leverage of the law to make money in service to the world. Like, each and every single one of us has some special thing that we bring, whether it's creating a good, bringing it in a different way to the world, being of service in whatever way is your gift. And that requires money to bring it. And you've got to also price it so that you can keep bringing it. There's a mentor of mine early on said, he gives this analogy where it's a metaphor about a taxi driver who shows up at your house and you're paying him to take you to the airport, or she to take you to the airport. So this driver's taking you to the airport and they charge you a certain amount of money, but they forget to charge you for the gas that they need to put in the vehicle to take you there. And they didn't fill up before they got to your place, and they didn't charge you for it. And they run out of gas on I-275. We're in Tampa, so
right.
Tampa, St. Pete. So I-275, and they have to dump you off, and you have to get another taxi driver. Everyone's angry at that point. No one wins. You miss your flight. That guy gets that's not a good scenario. Everyone's angry at everyone at that point.
I had a client once that wanted a deed. I want to add my wife, I want to add my son, I want to add whatever to the title to my property. And I gave them the quote for how much it would cost. And it's only going to take you 5 minutes. Why are you going to, why are you charging me that much? And I said, well, physically typing it into the computer may take 5 minutes, but I've got to make sure that the legal description is correct. I've got to make sure I collect all the proper recording fees and taxes. I got to get it out to the recorder's office and get it back and make sure it got recorded properly. I need to make sure that, there's no other issues there. Are there any probate issues there? Are there any lien issues there? So you're not paying for the time it took me to get the deed prepared. You're paying for the knowledge to do it right. And you're paying for some of the costs and some of the hard costs and expenses that I'm going to have to incur to get it right. So I completely, it's that same old story I heard someone say of the guy goes out to fix a machine and takes a look at the machine for a minute or two, pulls out a hammer, whacks the machine whirls back to life, and the guy turns around and says it'll be $1,000. They said $1,000. It took you 5 minutes to figure it out. We want you to break down why it's going to be $1,000. And the guy says, yeah, well, $1 for the use of the hammer, $999 for knowing where to hit the machine.
That's absolutely right. And that's the bottom line. And the thing that we do with women owners, and we have a bunch of, some of our guys.
I was going to ask, will you represent guys or are guys on your naughty list?
Yeah, no, we love dudes, man. We love you guys. We have a whole group of male business owners who call themselves our Brava Bros. And actually, one of our clients actually gave us that. He called himself that in a group. And I said, oh my gosh, thank you for the intellectual property. And we went out and filed a trademark for it. So yeah, and I'm not kidding, that happened. And so one of the things that we do with business owners, whether they're Brava Bros or just Brava ladies, Brava babes, whatever they want to call themselves, the women that we work with, the men that we work with, we look at their business holistically, and we have a program that we're going to be rolling out shortly, which is called the Limitless Leverage Business Program. It's a model of offering ongoing business counsel to small and mid-sized businesses that aren't yet at the point where they need in-house counsel or can afford in-house counsel, but they need to be regularly consulting an attorney. So our team then sits with them either monthly or quarterly for a strategy session, depending on where they are in their growth cycle, and analyzes, hey, like, what's going on in your business? What legal risks are you facing? What legal opportunities are there? And this is where we come into play. So we look at what are you doing with your marketing? Is it working? Do you need to change your vendor contract? Do you need to build into your vendor contract for your marketing and sales folks that are doing those things on an outsourced basis for you? Do you need to build in metrics into those contracts so that you're getting an ROI on everyone that you use, whether they're an employee or an independent contractor for you? And if they're not meeting their metrics, you get rid of them. And you have grounds to, because you built it into your contract, right? So this is leveraging the law to make sure that the people who are working for you are indeed making money so that you make money at the end of the day, but your business makes more money and can serve more people, employ more people, right? All of the things that you're doing in service to the world. We want that. And then we also help people to look at what they have that's particularly special, that is their intellectual property that could be licensed. And when I say intellectual property, I just mean ideas in tangible form, right? An idea can't be protected. If I share my idea with you right now, I can't protect it.
Right.
If, however, I have created something with that idea, I have created a manual. This is how franchises become franchises. Some Chick-fil-A, a great model of how this works is that Chick-fil-A has it down. People love those fries. People love that chicken. And people love that even the kids that work there who are in high school are phenomenally friendly when you come in. They are not rattled by you screaming at them because they got their order wrong, because those kids are trained the Chick-fil-A way. They've got a proprietary system as to the way they do it, and then they are able to license that to other operators. Like, so the franchisor licenses it out, and all of that is an idea that is in tangible form. Somebody, I think this morning said, would you like, McDonald's, would you like fries with that? Okay, that's in the McDonald's manual, right? That's a franchise business. That is in the manual. I can guarantee, I haven't seen the manual, but I can guarantee you that's in. So helping people to identify what's special about your business that can be licensed externally. What is it that you're creating? Whether it's a product that could potentially go to a patent lawyer. Is it a name? Is it a phrase? Is it something that you're doing? So, we have a fabulous client who is featured on our website, actually, which is bravalaw.com. Her name is Siobhan Sarna. I have permission to talk about her.
Okay.
She's phenomenal. She had a particular digestive issue, and she has built a multi-million-dollar business in a few years. We've helped her to leverage that using contracts and trademark protection and protect copyright protection for the videos and intellectual property that live behind her website. So she's got a content-based business that is online and digital. She has collected the best minds around this thing called SIBO, and her trademark is SIBO SOS. SIBO is small obstructive intestinal bowel disorder. So that's what it is. And she has gone around the world and interviewed doctors who know what the best ways to deal with this chronic illness are, and she niched this down hard, and then she has created other brands around that. And there's free content and there's paid content. And when you get behind the paywall, she's protecting all of it, right? And then licensing it out to affiliates who promote it for her. And she makes money in her sleep. So there are so many opportunities in the world right now due to the fact that we live in a brick and mortar and an online environment. And if you know where your genius lies and have someone to help you see where your revenue streams are, which is what we're really good at. You come to us with your ideas, we see revenue.
Well, and so I want to emphasize that point, because a couple of episodes ago, I talked about an issue like that. I've got a couple of books out there. One of my books is called Become Debt Free, but I think I'm shifting the branding of that book to Stay Debt Free. And one of the things that I talk about in the book, one of the things I've talked about on the show, I think you hit on it as a real world example. So what are you really good at? What do you have a passion for? Not necessarily to start as your 9-to-5 revenue producing thing, but just start it. Start writing down the systems. Start writing down the information. Start collecting the documentation. Start putting it together. Start talking about it. Start blogging about it. Start doing all that stuff about it. But then you also want to go see someone like Jamie to start to protect it. And then once you can protect it and it starts to grow, and now you can transition from that 9-to-5 where you had maybe not the salary you were looking for, to now you've created a business that can support your family. And it's going to take some time. It's not necessarily going to happen overnight. But that's what Jamie just said. I want you all to focus on, because that's the point that I've been trying to make now here for a couple of weeks. I also want to go back real quick. You did mention the information for the law firm. So I'm going to keep talking to Jamie because we got a lot of stuff more here to cover. But if you want to contact Jamie, you can go to her website, which is bravalaw.com, BRAVA law.com. The best way to get a hold of Jamie is to get a hold of Alexis. So if you want to get a hold of Jamie, you can email Alexis. exactly how it sounds, ALEXIS at bravalaw.com. You can also email them at hello@bravalaw.com or their number, 727-300-1990, 727-300-1990. And again, I'll have all that in the notes if you want to talk to Jamie or consult with Jamie or just hang out with Jamie. I like just hanging out with Jamie.
Yeah. But I like hanging out with her too. She's so cool.
She is. She's a cool chick. So you also have a particular affinity for helping, and maybe along the same lines as the client you just talked about, but you also have an affinity for helping and putting materials together for people that do online coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one, I am a huge believer in coaching. I am very passionate myself about not going it alone. If you're an entrepreneur, you want to be one, and you want to branch out and do your thing, it is so important and essential to get great coaching from someone who's just a little bit ahead of you on the journey. And it can be informal or formal, but when you pay for coaching that makes you just squirm a little, like the price is like, I'm not ready. You're going to double down and do the thing, right? Like you're going to do what the coach said, and you're going to make money faster and get to do what you want faster, full time, right? So if you're starting it as a side hustle and you've got a coach kicking you in the butt, like they've got to boot up your patootie all the time, and you are accountable to someone, you're going to do things better and faster. And you're going to also benefit from the fact that they screwed stuff up.
Yeah.
And they can tell you, and you may screw it up anyway, but you at least know, all right, I can anticipate that this is going to be the pothole.
The best coaches, the best mentors, they know because they've made those mistakes. And so they're telling you where to avoid those mistakes. That's what I tell people say to me all the time. How do you know all this stuff? Well, because I made a mistake and learned not to do it again. It's not that I sit here and read law books cover to cover. I goofed. What? I goofed. The judge ruled against me, and now I know that to do something different next time.
I can't believe you're not just sitting around reading law books. They're so riveting, and it makes it so fun at parties.
When I need to go to sleep, maybe I'll pop one open.
Yeah, so we believe in coaching. I do, for sure, and have had, as my business has grown, I have changed coaches along the way because I've gotten to a point where, okay, I got this down, and now I need a coach to work with me on this next level, like new level, new devil. I need a different kind of coach as I go along. So we really love working with online coaches because they themselves have content. They have website terms and conditions. They have contracts. They can protect their proprietary system for doing coaching the way they do it. And the gorgeous thing about online coaches is, unlike hiring a lawyer, not that we're not all very special, but no matter how much you like your lawyer, at the end of the day, if you hire me to write a contract, it may be the best contract ever, but it's a widget, right? In a way,
right?
It's a widget. It may be a really fun to read widget if you work with us, but it's nonetheless, it's a product. When you're working with a coach, you're really working with that person. It's a person, and you need to have a chemistry with that person, and they're going to have their way of. The material is not new. Like there is an algorithm to running a business and making money at it. Like there is. It's marketing leads to sales, leads to production, leads to people, leads to metrics. You better measure everything, leads to money. And then the big thing is you. You are what needs coaching.
Right.
You can learn that. You can learn the algorithm. Your brain is the piece that will get in your way all day long. And that's what a good coach does. They really help you with that. So we love working with them because we help them serve the people that they care about. And we know that coaches really care. So.
And I'm the exact same way. I've had multiple coaches here in my career as well. There was a short period of time where I thought about being a coach, but that thought quickly left my head. but yeah, I've done that before too. And funny story. I was getting ready to sign up with a coach, and so I came from a very entrepreneurial background. My dad is a CPA, owned his own law firm, so I always knew going into college that I was going to go to law school and that eventually I was going to own my own law firm. That was what I was going to do.
That's cool.
I always knew that. But it was funny. I went to my dad one day and I said, I'm thinking about hiring this coach. And this was, probably in the last 10 years. And I said, I'm thinking about hiring this company to be my coach. And my dad said, well, what sport are you going to play? He said, well, I'm not going to play a sport, Dad. It's business coach. So what kind of sport is the business going to play? Well, business isn't really. And so I said, okay, well, let me start to apply my lawyer brain. And I'm like, okay, Dad, so when you own the firm, because by this point he had retired, I said, when you own the firm, how did you know that you needed to hire more people? He said, if I had more work coming in than I could do, I hired more people. I said, right. How did you know you needed more work coming in? He said, I always wanted more work coming in. I said, well, how did you know what your budget was? He said, I'd look at last year and figure out what I wanted for the next year. I mean, every time I tried to come at him with one of those coaching questions, he was on it and he had the answer. Yeah. And he knew what a business coach was. But I think his point was a lot more like yours in terms of it's all in my head. It's all in your head. If you can get out of your own way, you'll make plenty of money. Now, I agree with you. There need to be those coaches there to kind of back us and support us and kick us in the rear end when we need a kick in the rear end. But that sort of always stuck with me in terms of what sport are you going to play? I'm not going to play a sport, Dad. I just need someone to help me coach me here. So you've also got it's called Fire to Form Transformative Business Coaching. That's something. As we record this, is it rolled out yet, or is it something you're still working on?
It's in play. I think we have a couple people on board, but it's not. We haven't gone big or go home yet. It's quietly forming, like a burning fire that is forming. But Fire to Form came about because a lot of our legal clients asked us to serve as their business coach. Specifically, asked me to serve as could you be my business coach? And as more of those questions were asked, I said yes. And then the other thing that led to it is that we, for whatever reason, have a lot of law firm clients that come to us for different things. And we also have a lot of physician clients who come to us for different things. And we also have a lot of white collar folks or people who are brilliant but didn't graduate from college or have a trade profession, who come to us to help them craft their business, like get it off the ground and get it started, or have an idea. So specifically the lawyers and doctors that we work with will often tell us how much they hate their life. They complain about it, and it looks gorgeous on the outside, right? Like they've got the house, the car with the right emblem on the front, and the trophy wife and the trophy children, the 2.5 children and a dog. Or in your case, how many children do you have, Sean?
Two.
A lot. People. Like there are people to feed.
Right. So,
and I find them feeling, and I'll ask them, like, well, what else would you want to do? And they'll tell me. They know what they want to do, and it's something that's more playful and more fun. And what's not great about that? And I'll say, well, why don't you do it? And they'll say, because I could never make any money at it. And I'm a doctor. I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. Like, I have these degrees. I went to school for this long. How could I possibly do something? I would disappoint my family. Who cares? And who cares? And there are plenty of people doing whatever the dream thing is that burns inside of us. There are plenty of people making money at that, and they're making more than you as a doctor or a lawyer, I can guarantee you. And it's about applying the same algorithm. There are plenty of doctors and lawyers making crap money right now. I can tell you that too, because they're not good business people and they don't know how to do it. Right.
Well, but it's all about balance. So you said I've got 2 kids. So about an hour after we're done recording here, I got to go pick up one of my kids and take him to flag football. Tomorrow, I coach both boys tomorrow, one in soccer and one in baseball. And people look at me like I've got 6 heads, that I'm coaching 2 teams and that I'm shuffling the boys between 3 sports. It's all about balance. I mean, I didn't become an attorney to not be able to spend time with my kids.
Right.
So
and so if you build the business well of the law firm, the law firm happens to be a business.
Right.
It's not a law firm. It's a legal business.
Right.
Right. It's still a business. If you have a physician practice, it's a business. You can call it a practice all day long. It's a business at the end of the day. And if you structure it the right way, you're going to be able to delegate to people. And if you're making sufficient money, you're going to hire the right people and put them in the right slot so that they are making money for you. And if you're working with the right coaches, the right lawyers, the right accountants, the right bookkeepers, the right people to help you build and scale as you go, you can build the life.
Yeah.
That allows you the freedom to coach 2 teams and cook with the green egg.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And do the stuff you want to do, but you've got to make sure that you're not playing all the roles. I tried.
It doesn't. And I, you mentioned doctors and lawyers, but I think it applies almost across the board. So you can be a great attorney, but that doesn't mean you're going to be a great business owner. You can be the best, whatever type of doctor, heart surgeon, brain surgeon, whatever. You can be the best at it. That doesn't mean you're going to be good at crunching the numbers and reviewing the financial statements and determining the direction of the business. And it doesn't mean that's going to translate.
No, it doesn't. And no one teaches you that in law school, and no one even teaches you that if you get an MBA.
Yeah.
That's not a guarantee.
Right.
Even if you went to Wharton, it's not a guarantee, right? So it's about whether or not that's your thing. And you'll know it's your thing when you start doing it and you're like, wow, I dig this part. I really dig this part. And not that everyone should own a business. I think we've also made entrepreneurship. I heard Gary Vee say something about this. Like, we've made entrepreneurs these heroes now. We've watched Shark Tank so much. Ownership is the thing. Well, not everyone's cut out for that.
No.
Some people, I need a great number 2, right? I need a great number 3. I need a great, I need a great bench.
When my wife and I first got married, I was all about, why don't you get your realtor license? I'll help you start up a realty business. Why don't you, she got into, part of the reason my last question sort of focused on MLMs earlier in the episode was because I was thinking of my wife, who we explored a handful of MLMs that all just, I said, look, this is not going to be the family dog where you start it up and I have to take it outside to go to the bathroom all the time. If you start it up, you're going to work the business. The problem is, and I don't say this as any kind of criticism on my wife. I love my wife. She's got a 9-to-5 mentality. That's what she does. That's what she excels at, and that's fine. And that's right. That's her thing. And so when I started with why don't we start this MLM? Why don't you become a realtor? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? It wasn't her thing. And now that I know, it doesn't have to be her thing.
No, it doesn't. It's not everyone's thing. And the key is know your thing.
Right.
Ask yourself, what do I want? I recently, actually, it was last year, I had a conversation with an employee of mine. I took her out to dinner, and it was pretty clear to me we just didn't have the right person in the right spot, right? And I just wanted to kind of explore it. So I said, is this position taking you where you want to go? And she said, why do you care? And I said, because I absolutely 1000% care. If this role isn't moving you to where you need to be in life and what you want. I want to alter the role or find you something else. Let's like work on it. And I said, what, think about it. Just what do you want? Not what do you want in 10 years? Just what do you want right now? What do you want? And most people can't answer that question.
Yeah. That's been a huge question for me, especially when it comes to raise time for my people. And I'm like, you guys are going to price yourself out of being here at this law firm. So what do you want? What else can I? And that health insurance came about because of that. Working from home pre-COVID came about because of that. There's a lot of good stuff. And it's not, when I have those types of conversations with my employees, it's not from a punitive perspective. It's, if I can make you more happy, then you'll be more productive. If I can support you more, you'll be more productive. We'll all make more money. And some people just don't recognize that.
Yeah. To me, fun is essential to me. And I know that sounds weird coming from a lawyer, but it is so important that I have a good time at work. And there are times when it's not fun.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying every second is fun, because it's not. If you make me look at Excel spreadsheets with money too long, I know how to do it, and I love it when it looks good, but I don't like it when it doesn't look good. And so if you make me do that too much, there needs to be some good background music, like walk up music for financial time, right? Like, I need that. So creating a culture that people crave is what's really important if you're an owner, and you want to attract the talent that is gonna serve the world in the way you envision. So as the owner, you need to, at a minimum, be a visionary. If somebody else needs to run the numbers and just hand you the reports, cool. But you better understand the numbers, right? Understand what you're looking at. But vision is important, and being able to leverage people like lawyers, financial lawyers, business lawyers, employment lawyers, intellectual property lawyers, to help you, create policy manuals, systems, so that the people who come to your office are in the right position and they crave being there.
Yeah.
Not that they want to hang out with me every minute. Like, I'm sure Alexa's totally sick of me at the end of the day. And it's like, oh my God, if I have to hear her spontaneously sing in the middle of writing a brief one more time, I'm gonna kill her. But but we have a good time together.
Yeah.
And there's a time to take a break, and knowing what you want is key, and knowing what your team wants is key. So Sean, you've told me about the approach that you take to your annual team planning meeting, where you actually bring people from outside to interview your team. Tell me about that, because I haven't done that yet. I think it's cool.
So what I do every year, I take the team outside the office. So no chance at looking at computers, no chance of phone ringing, no chance of clients walking in, nothing. We shut the office down for the day, and I take them somewhere. A couple of years ago, it was to the Safety Harbor Spa. Last year, it was to, I forget the name of the restaurant, down off St. Pete Beach. So we were there and looking at the water. And yeah, I bring in third parties that are business advisors, business coaches, people that even could bring in you if you wanted to do it one year. And food is on me, drinks are on me. If you want a mimosa, if you want a Bloody Mary, I always have a Bloody Mary. If you just want water, soda, whatever. Drinks are on me. Food, you want brunch, you want breakfast, you want lunch, whatever. Food, beverages, all that stuff is on me. And we talk about how did we do last year? What did we do? What went well? What didn't go so well? What lessons did we learn? What do we want to improve on? And then we talk about, where do we want to be at this meeting next year? What good things do we want to talk about that happened? What systems do we want to implement? How can I make their jobs easier? How can I help them be more efficient to hit the goals we want? If we hit the financial goals, what are we going to do? As we record this, we've got an open house coming up where we're having guacamole. We're having the Mexican food truck come to the open house. That was as a result of this meeting. We said, when we hit this goal, this financial goal, that gives me enough money to have a party. And so that's what we're doing. I ordered, they should be delivering right now, Yesner Law hats, because I want a hat with my name on it. So they're delivering Yesner Law hats as we speak to my office that I'll be able to pick up after the weekend. So, a lot of those things came from what did we do well? What goals do we want to hit? And what do you guys want when we hit those roles? And so that's, now I also have a weekly staff meeting where we keep track of that stuff. So it's not just, hey, once a year, let's go all through this data. But yeah, that's what I do for them.
Yeah. And you hit on like the weekly analysis too. I think that's really huge. So we recently started implementing key performance indicators or KPIs and assigning just like, here are the objectives for the firm, for the business. Here are the objectives for that department, each department. And here are the tasks that each of these individuals that make up that department need to do daily and weekly or monthly, depending. And they've got to keep track of their own stats, and then we analyze them.
Yeah.
And there's another great author who's a friend of mine. Her name is Kristen David, and she wrote a book called Up-Level Your Business, Up-Level Your Life. And she does a great workshop on KPIs, and I attended it, and we immediately implemented her system because it was phenomenal. I mean, and everybody knew what they were doing. It was amazing. Like overnight, we went from what are we doing today to everyone knows what they're doing today.
So since the last time we talked, one thing that I started implementing, this is the year of systems at Yesner Law. So I am focused on getting these systems right. One of the things that I implemented at Yesner Law, anyone and everyone that contacts us, we capture their name, we capture their phone number, we capture their email, we capture what organization referred them. So did they come from the internet? Did they come from another attorney? Did they come from BNI? Did they come from? Then we track who. So if you sent me a referral, it would be BNI sent me a referral and it was Jamie Marcario, or maybe an attorney sent me a referral, it was Jamie Marcario, whatever. And so then we track, when did they contact us? When did they get the appointment? Did they show for the appointment? When did they hire us? How much did they pay us? So now I can tell you down to 2 decimals what percentage of people that call us make an appointment, what percentage of those show, what percentage of those hire us, how long does it take from when you call us to when you get an appointment, how long does it take from the appointment until you hire us, what referral sources close at what percentage levels, how much on average do each of the referral sources generate when a client is referred. I can give you all of that data live, real time, as of right now. When we're done recording, I'm not going to do it on the show, but that was one of the other systems that we just implemented at the firm.
Yeah, and I think that's phenomenal because it's really, to me, that's about working backwards. So it's how much money what do I want my life to look like? It comes back to what do I want, right?
Right.
What do I want? And what do I want is really about how do I feel? Because if I want a giant house on the beach, I don't want just a giant house on the beach because I want one. Well, maybe I do. But I probably want it because I think it's going to make me feel a certain way. Like I'm going to feel like I come home and it's an oasis and I'm on vacation. Whatever it is, I think I'm going to feel. So what we do is we have our right now budget and we have our elevated budget, our anticipatory budget, our aspirational budget. Like here's where we want to be, and here's where we want to be in 6 months. We work backwards from here's how much growth we want by the end of the year. We know how much money that is. We've tracked what you've tracked, which is what is the average price of the sale? Like how much is each sale? If it's a widget, how much is the widget? If it's the average case value, what's the average case value? And then I need to know how many of those do I need to sell in the year to hit my number?
Right.
And then I need to know exactly what you said, which is, okay, how many sales calls does that mean I have to have? And then how many calls that call the firm, my business, translate or convert into an actual sales call, into a consult. And then I need to know how many leads do I need to call to get to this. So it's really just working backwards and tracking your conversion rate. Another thing that we've just started tracking, because we found that it was a point of weakness for us, is tracking the amount of time it takes us to get from somebody came in the door to we finished the work. And we need to speed that up. Like, so we are always analyzing what we're doing and how we could do it better.
Yeah.
Because if you measure it, you do it better.
Yeah. And, what you measure gets done.
It's more fun. Yeah. And God, who doesn't like crossing stuff off their list, right?
Exactly.
Like, who doesn't like hitting a goal? It's fun.
So as we sort of near the end here, anything you wanted to add? Anything we didn't talk about?
Yeah, I think, gosh, we hit a lot of stuff, John. We always have a good time. I just want to encourage people, if you are out there and you're in the land of, I don't know if I want to go on my own or not, I want to dip my toe in the water of entrepreneurship, talk to other entrepreneurs who are in the field that you want to go into, but also talk to some lawyers. And they don't, just not because, you gotta, but because if you talk to an entrepreneurial lawyer, someone who's running their own show, they're going to have some insights that not every entrepreneur has, but talk to more than just a lawyer too. I talk to entrepreneurs who run all kinds of businesses, I have entrepreneurial friends who are doing, making in the 8 and 9 figures a year, who are running, franchise hair salons. So talk to people in different industries to find out, well, where can I leverage my strength? And that's why we were kind of talking about limitless leverage with the law today, is how can you have limitless leverage, not of your own genius, but also by leveraging other people. And, we happen to be lawyers, so we're going to throw in the law. Exactly.
And if you want to talk to Jamie specifically, again, it's bravalaw.com, or reach out to Alexis or hello@bravalaw.com, or give them a buzz. I put the number in, and I'll put the number in again. So thank you, Jamie. I knew it was going to be a fun episode. I knew from the time we started. So I really appreciate you being on the show. I would say you're a powerhouse woman, which you are, but you're a powerhouse attorney. You're a powerhouse business owner. You're a powerhouse mentor. You're a powerhouse friend, and all of the other accolades. So thank you. I knew this was going to be a fun one, and it didn't disappoint. So thank you.
Ditto. Yeah, ditto. All right. Thanks so much, John. Have a great night.
I think that'll do it for this week's episode. Like I like to say at the end of every episode, I hope that at the end of the month you have more money, rather than at the end of the money you have more month. Thanks again, Jamie, and we will talk to y'all on next week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast.
If you have questions that you think would make a great topic for a future episode, please email Sean or connect with us on social media. Sean Yesner and Yesner Law, PL, are Florida licensed attorneys. The information contained in this week's episode is not a substitute for legal advice. Your situation may differ, especially if you are located somewhere other than the state of Florida. If you have questions, please contact our office or contact a local attorney. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast.